Hey everybody, welcome to season 4 of What's IGN Crushing On. I'm Karen Walby Solomon and I'm your host, and we're here to talk about what's hot in pop culture. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of season 4. Today's episode is sponsored by Syntech. Syntech is a technology company that sources and distributes industry-leading products and brands from around the world. Today it's the Leanne and Karen Roadshow once again, and as I've said, we are joined by Leanne Phillipson. How are you doing, my girl?
Hello, my girl. I'm good. How are you? Did you have a good Easter?
I had a great Easter. I got one Easter egg, but
Sad
from
face.
my sister. I'm upset. I'm my parents' youngest child, and I should be getting Easter eggs for as long as they are alive. I so now my mom. It's past Easter now, and as we are recording, and my mom is going to go buy me a makeup Easter gift because I've been complaining for the past day or so. So never be said that I'm not a spoiled brat, but but anyway, we have a fun show today because so many of our faves have good news, and we just wanted to discuss that for with you guys. So let's get into it. Firstly, our girl Britney announced that she is pregnant. Um,
Woohoo!
we've spoken about Britney quite a bit on the show, especially when she was going through a conservatorship and as she was trying to get out of it. And one of the big things that came out of the year in which she spoke was that she had to be on birth control and she wasn't allowed to have children. So, as she's getting into this new free stage of her life, I'm so glad that she's like able to make this choice for herself. You know,
Mm.
she chose to want, I mean, well, she said it was a bit of a surprise, but she looks insanely happy about it. Like a couple of months ago, she said she was engaged to her fiance Sam Asghari, and now they're expecting a baby. And man, I'm so happy for her.
I know. I think it's just that thing of like we've all kind of walked this journey with her. So
Mm,
if you are in this like age grade age range, you know, like
mm,
you did your danced choreography to Britney songs. You were there for the journey. You were at crossroads with her, and then you kind of saw the crazy Britney inverted commas. You saw the
yeah.
conservatorship, and like you walked this journey for her to be free. And so her announcing her pregnancy was just such a celebration of like, yay, we did it. She's done it. Like she's come through so
Mm,
much, and so for her to get this little bit of happiness is just really, really cool, especially in a time when the world's still the world being chaotic and crazy. And yeah, I really love that this episode is all about celebrating the people who are on their comeback tours.
So Brittany obviously has two sons already. Sean Preston, who's like 16, and Jaden, who's 15, by Kevin Federline. And now now it's like with her, it's like a new journey. They
Mm.
were pre-conservatorship and now this is post-conservatorship. But I know I've been seeing people on Instagram like guessing as to the sex of the baby. I don't know how long she's been. I don't know. I might have missed this news. How long she's been pregnant for? But the fact that people are already like kind of guessing as to like what sex the baby is like, is it not too early for that? But
It seems
maybe,
very early. I also find it interesting, like the conversations around people having children. So I haven't seen people trying to guess the sex of like Rihanna's baby. So like, why would we be doing it for Britney? Like, odd.
I think because of the reason why maybe for Britney is because during the conservatorship, people were always looking for clues in her Instagram, like clues that she wasn't doing well. And now they just
Mm.
like haven't stopped looking for clues. And now that she's like sharing freely, they have nothing to guess about, and they're like, oh, now this is a new mystery for us. And so it's like, oh, she has a bikini on that's blue and white, so it has to be a boy. No, but she posted a painting of ballerinas, so it has to be a girl. But
Oh,
then,
it's like Taylor
who's
Swift
yeah,
stands that are reading into
yeah, yeah,
things
yeah.
that don't exist for the sake of. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got you.
But I would like to say, like, I mean, okay, I don't know how Britney is, but I mean, I feel like that's kind of like outdated ideas of what is boy and what is girl. Maybe ballerinas also could signify a boy. Maybe blue could also signify a girl.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago that blue was for girls, wasn't it? Like as
Mm.
recent as like the 18th or 19th century. So screw your gender constructs.
But I just hope that, this time around, that the paparazzi gives Britney some space, basically, that
Mm,
she can raise it. Because I remember when Jaden and Sean were young, like, I constantly saw those children's faces. That's why, like, after the conservatorship, when you saw them and they're like big men, and you're like, yo, these boys, we have, like, I feel like I knew them like they were my friend's child because we saw Britney
yeah.
so much in the media. So I just hope that, she has this time, especially because I don't know if she's going to be making new music. I know she's going to be writing a book, but I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
she's going to be making new music. But I mean, like, so she'll writing a book, she'll be at home, whereas music, you have to be in studio, you have to tour. So she'll have time to spend with her child and with her husband, and not have that constant public scrutiny. And I'm also kind of glad for Instagram because she's kind of taking the news out of that kind of like paparazzi culture, even though it's not as bad as it was in the early 2000s. But like, she's announcing her pregnancy.
Mm.
She's sharing what she wants to share. And I'm glad that she kind of has that kind of like, ownness now of her own story.
Yeah, I think that's the wonderful thing about social media. Like you've seen so many stars being able to control the narrative. So it's
Mm,
not waiting for the press to get the scoop. It's kind of them saying, this is my story. Here's where we're at. I'm announcing stuff when I want to announce it. Like there might be
mm,
speculation, but like, I know if I see a story out there and it's someone who has social media, generally I'll go find their social media almost like to verify it. Because if it's
mm,
something big like a pregnancy or an engagement, if they haven't said it, I'm not going to believe People Magazine anymore necessarily. So yeah, I do think that's a positive change over time.
mm.
So really, really happy for her controlling her narrative.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope that, this new era, the Britney in her 40s will be a healthy and happy era for her. I mean, she deserves it. She's given us so
Mm.
much bops. She's given us so much iconic moments that, she deserves to live her life the way that she wants to now. And very, very, very happy for Brittany. Congratulations. I know you don't listen to this podcast, but if you do happen to come across it, congratulations, Brittany and Sam. I
Talking
thought she
about
was married.
stars.
Yeah, I thought she was married because she was talking about like husband, and then she was like, no, she's not married yet.
Yeah, I feel like she would have posted if they'd gotten, like, she would have done the like a picture or
And
something
she
on her
refers to him as
Instagram.
husband sometimes. So I think, okay, it's
I mean,
weird.
I suppose if you've been together for as long as they have, and if you've really made the commitment, sometimes,
Mm.
eh, same but different.
So in other news, the other big news that happened over the last week or so was that J Lo and Ben Affleck have gotten engaged again. Um,
Jennifer, I love this for
benefit to
them.
benefit 2.0. And as you know, listeners of the podcast, we were very pro Bennifer when they got together. And it's very romance novelty for me, and I love it. I'm eating this shit up with two hands and a knife and a fork and everything in every
This is the
utensil.
rom com. This is kind of the rom com you deserve. It's very adult rom com. It's very
Yeah.
like the timing wasn't right. We went our separate ways. Now we're back together. And everything is the cheese you expect it to be. And
Mm.
I love that. So, like, it's amazing. The fact that it wasn't a grand proposal, it wasn't like this
Mm.
big thing. It was just her in her favorite place, which apparently is a bubble
The
bath.
bath.
Um, and the ring is gorgeous. And then I saw something where she was saying like, because green is like her lucky color. No wonder she loved that green. Was it Versace dress that she
Mm.
like lived in? But yeah, the green is a lucky color, and so the fact that he got a green diamond is just yeah, very sweet and touching and beautiful.
Mm. Oh man, I was so happy for them. And like, I think we've spoken about this on the podcast before, but someone on TikTok was like combing through her autobiography, and was like, Ben Affleck is the love of her life. Like, there's no man that she has loved like Ben. And
Mm.
like, for them to find each other again. And in her post, she said, the romantic thing I could ever imagine, just a quiet night at home, two people promising to always be there for each other, two very lucky people who got a second chance at true love. And I was like, oh, true love, that is. And when they got back together, Pia, my cousin, and Pia is like, she's been a benefit
Die
stan since
hard,
they, yeah, like
die
since
hard
they broke
benefit
up. Even
stand.
when they were married to other people, she was, no, they're gonna find each other again. And we were listening to her album that she made about Ben, like after they broke up. And there's a song called "Dear Ben" about how much she loves him and stuff like that. And as she announced the engagement, that song was playing in the background, and it like, yeah, layers on layers on layers, talking about like realizing. But I mean, I love love. And somebody on Twitter said, so many years of watching Bold and the Beautiful has prepared me for this. You have 30 years of watching Bold and the Beautiful. But it honestly is, oh man, it's just, I'm like, oh, Ben and Jen, I'm just so glad you found each other. Like, I hope that this works out. Like, I really hope that this is it for both of them. Um,
Mm. I think
like,
so. I mean, they both seem to have grown and matured and done the work on themselves and in the lives around them. And I do think like based on I do find it fascinating because I think it was like a month ago. I can't remember. There was definitely like a thing where Jen was like, "Oh, we're not rushing into marriage. Like we've done that
mm,
before. I've done it before. I'm not trying to like get married immediately." So like I really thought it would have taken more time for them to get here just based on those comments. But it just goes to show that like they're approaching things with a much more thought out view. So it's not just like, I'm in love, I'm going to do this thing. It's like,
mm.
yes, we're in love, but there are other things to consider. There's logistics, there's planning, there's whether or not this is the smart choice. And so I do think like when you're doing that, in between all the love stuff, it's kind of a good space to be.
I just always worry because they're like such big stars, both of them. And it stresses me out like when a couple are both big. You know what I mean? Like there's one big one and there's like a
Mm.
littler one. I'm always like, okay, that's okay for me.
It's also
Like,
so fascinating because, like, the stars when I mean, this is slightly off topic, but you can always it's always so problematic when you see couples where one's big and one's little, and then like the roles reverse, and then all of a sudden there are issues,
yeah.
and then you're
Or they're
like,
both
oh,
small and
now,
then one goes up and then,
and
but you
the other
gotta
one
have that
doesn't, and then like,
balance. I always think like when it's like if fame is that is fame wise, and then you have to have balance in something else. Like someone else has to be richer, or the other person has to be like smarter or something like that. Like, or like a
yeah,
really good person. Like you got to be like George Clooney and like Amal Clooney. George is obviously more famous because he's the actor, but Amal is like this world renowned like human rights lawyer who's like been saving people around the world. She's like a real life superhero. So for me, that's equally yoked because like he
yes,
is, they both have that sort of same level. So like, they both don't need to be as famous. I think it's always difficult if you're gonna be in the same career. So like I
mm,
always remember, I don't know why this couple always comes to mind, but for me, like Chad Lowe and Hilary Swank. I mean, they were both like young actors making it. They both had were like child actor type things, and they grew up and they fell in love and they got married. And then she became a lot more, renowned and famous than him, and then it caused friction
Mm.
in their marriage. I mean, I don't know if that's the reason that it caused friction. Maybe someone cheated. I don't know. But I'm saying, like, for me, it's like it's always tough when they like come from the same, your same career, because you're always going to be competing against one another. Whereas like,
Yes.
whereas like Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Furness, who's like a makeup artist, and she's just living her life, and like I just love them together. I don't know why. Like I know nothing about her other than she's his wife, but she's always so like so confident in herself. Like in the like
Mm.
she would somebody about being lucky about being married to him once on the red carpet, and she's like, lucky? He's a lucky one. And I'm like, you right,
Yeah.
girl. You're right. And like
It's people
I
that have
always love them.
their
Their
own
own,
stuff
yeah,
going
their
on.
own
Sorry,
thing.
the story of the two of them getting together is so sweet. Have you seen the
Mm,
interview where he talks about it? Because they basically, she was in theater and she was a lot older than him, and they were, well, not a
mm,
lot, but she was a little bit older than him, and they were doing like, they were acting alongside each other, and he had the biggest crush on her, but he knew he couldn't like do anything about it because being professional, blah blah blah.
mm,
And then when they finally get together, and just the way he speaks about it is just like,
mm.
oh, so cute.
It is like no, I do love them a lot. So like for me it's like I always get a bit nervous when there's people with so much demand on them as both Ben and Jennifer do.
Mm. I do think they've
But
gotten a lot better at like controlling what gets said about them. So like in terms of and I think I maybe alluded to this earlier, like how much you allow the paparazzi to see you. So they
mm,
have been a lot more private. They have been a lot more cautious around what they when they're willing to be photographed, when they're willing to be out in public. The fact that she like broke the news in her newsletter, I think it was, before the video or whatever. So you can see that, like, I think because they're taking those steps to protect themselves and their family from the scrutiny, that's probably going to be a much
yeah.
healthier decision. So I think, like, and I do think like they've kind of moved into different spaces a little, like, so
Mm,
there isn't that competing like they may have been when they were
yeah.
younger, when they were still trying to do stuff, you know. They kind of settled in who and what they are in the industry.
And they also don't have those demands of like, oh, we need money because they have money. They don't have to worry about are they going to have kids because they both have quite a bit of kids. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like there's no demands, no extra demands. So maybe they can work with the public demands because
Now they can just
they
be
don't have
in
other.
love and live their best retired life if they want to. Do you know what I mean? Like they can travel the
Mhm.
world and be on yachts and go shopping and do things here and there because they feel like it, not because they have to, which is vibes,
Yeah,
bro. Vibes.
respect. Oh man, all our love and respect to J Lo and and Ben Affleck. It's really like Britney's in the conversation. It's like 2002 again. Britney's like big in the conversation. Ben and J Lo are together again.
I remember there was a
Rice
that
jeans.
there was a picture low rise jeans. Oh my
I
god,
was
the
gonna say they're
nightmare.
making a comeback.
I'm waiting for like Von Dutch. Although didn't Von Dutch also come back? Oh, never mind. I don't want to talk about it. I remember when Britney was in the zeitgeist, like with a conservatorship and winning, and then it was around the same time that Paris Hilton was getting married, and there was a
Yeah.
tweet of like Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, and Lindsay Lohan, because Lindsay Lohan's also on her comeback with her new Netflix rom com movie, coming out end of this year, right? I think so. Anyway, and it was just like, oh, all the 2000s babies are like on the rise again, like doing their thing. And it's really, really cool. I'm so happy to see everyone that we've kind of journeyed with, each getting their happy ending and finding their peace and happiness, like despite the chaotic times of their
Mm.
lives. I think the only one I'm still waiting for is Amanda Bynes.
Shame.
I, I was chatting to Steve about She's the Man yesterday because he hasn't seen it. Now we're trying to figure out where we can watch it. And I was
I think I
like,
might have it on
she
DVD
was
for you.
nice. Um, but yeah, I'm keen to see her come back because I think she's also fighting her conservatorship at the moment.
Mm, she is, yes. And she's such a talented like comedy actor. Like I miss seeing her in things. And especially now that Britney, Lindsay Lohan is making a comeback. I think it's high time for Amanda to be out here as well. And also, like,
Mm,
Hilary Duff never left. She's girl's just been working since a child. She's just been, steadily
yeah.
doing her thing.
I think
But
she took like a mini break, like when she was having her kids and stuff. But then she'd always pop up because she was in Younger, and then she was
yeah.
in, and obviously now she's in How I Met Your Father reboot. So yeah, no, she's also thriving. I'm so happy for her. Nicole Ritchie, surprisingly, because I don't know if I mentioned, like, I know I spoke about Great News before on the podcast and how I love that show. Like, Nicole Ritchie is one of the characters in that show, and she is so funny. Like,
Mm.
you forget how funny she is, and so the fact that she A is also still working and B, like, also doing her own thing is like so fabulous to me.
I used to watch this show on Kobe called Nikki Fresh, and when she decides she's going to like become a rapper. Oh, it was so funny. And then she goes and she like pitches it to like Benji and what's her husband's name? Joel, to the
Yeah,
Madden brothers. And then they were like like because they're almost like the judges and they're like, what are you gonna do with this? And like questioning her and then it's so funny. She's so funny. I actually want to see her in more stuff as well. Um
yeah. She's underrated actually as a comedic actress. I did not realize how funny she was until Great News.
I was I also want to see act again is Demi Lovato. Like I don't know. I just want to see them in things again. Like I don't like. I loved Camp
They
Rock.
too busy talking to aliens and stuff. I don't know. I
I want to see
agree.
them.
I loved that era for them. It was a fantastic time for all of us. But yeah,
uh, um, and and any of the High School Musical stars. Also, did you see our girl Vanessa at Coachella?
Coachella Queen. I love it. Her fashion. She's amazing. No, but she's in her bag though with her Netflix rom coms. She's
Yeah,
clearly she's done her things. She's brilliant. I've always liked her. And I mean, Zefran's on his own journey doing
Zefron.
his yeah. Zefran's on his journey doing his he had the series on Netflix where he explores like renewable resources and the planet. So I remember there were two different versions of it, and it's really good. And I know he's filming another season of one of them now. So yeah, I think like I love that everyone's kind of found their groove a little,
Mm.
coming into their own.
I always think like Corbin Blue and the girl who played, I think her name was Monique something. They played
Hmm.
his girlfriend in High School Musical. The two of them were also in like a Hallmark romance, like Christmas movie at the end of last year. I was like, oh man, like they did like a cute on
Cute.
TikTok, like where they show like couples when they were younger, like hugging, and then they show them older doing the same thing, and they did
Yeah.
that, and I was like, oh man, that's adorable. So so I don't know, like I feel like we at the point where the stars that we grew up with in like the early 2000s are mature enough to be either making decisions to not be in the limelight anymore or not act or sing or that kind of thing, or they are making like decisions to, hey, this is how I want my career to go. Like Paris Hilton is obviously going for a more private vibe. Like she's
Hmm.
still out here, but she's not as vocal as she was before. And everyone else is like moving, like Lindsay is coming back. Everybody is doing things, but in a way that just seems right for them and not
Hmm.
this is what the general public like with I think like the whole Disney machine thing is that everybody had to be actors, everybody had to be singers, everybody had to do this and that. And I mean, I like that, Olivia Rodrigo can be like full on singer. I mean, she could probably act too. I mean, she does that in High School
If she
Musical,
wanted to. Yeah.
High School Musical, the musical, the series, or whatever it's called. High School Musical, the series, the musical. I don't know. I don't know. But she does it in there. But I mean, she could make like her proper music album. Zendaya can. And oh man, Zendaya must release more music though. Like I like young Zendaya's music. But I mean, I know this. I'm going into the 2010s actors now in 2020s. So I'm glad that our 2000s OOs, naughties, whatever they call it, stars are able to, find their own voices because it's back in those days, it felt very like studio systemy, like the way that they were
Mm,
moving and that they weren't actually doing what they wanted to do. And I think that the stars now have a better chance to do what they want to do instead of what the studios want them to do. I hope so. But so now I'm glad that so many of them are coming back and finding their voice and still choosing to act, to sing, to
mm.
do those kind of things. So yeah, I'm quite excited to for what is coming next. Okay, let's move on to crushing on. So Leanne, what have you been crushing on this last week?
Once again, a chaotic week. I was on leave, so I did not really. I mean, we were traveling up to Joburg, so the most I got to do was Imnit's Harry Potter run at 4 p.m. on most days. I realized every day they were showing like one of the weird Harry Potter movies, and that would be like our nap time, like old people. But what we did watch last night, which was actually I haven't seen it in years, and I don't think I saw it properly, was The Terminal with Tom Hanks, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Stanley Tucci. Um, a really, really, really good movie. I think we forget like how good filmmaking. Okay, no, we don't forget, but filmmaking was just so good in like the 90s, like late 80s, like into the early 90s. There's so many good films that I think people should rediscover, and this is definitely one of them. It's on Netflix, directed by Steven Spielberg, and Tom Hanks is brilliant as always, and just such a cool story. And what I did not know until I was watching it last night, and then Steve made a comment like it's based on a true story of a man who lived at Charles de Gaulle for 18 years because he was stuck in a weird bureaucratic loophole, and so he couldn't leave the airport, and that's why he was stuck there. So yeah, just watching that last night kind of reminded me. I think we talk about 90s rom-coms a lot, but I think there are just so many other films that are really, really good that are worth checking out. So yeah, my vote goes to The Terminal this week. How about you?
So I have I've been watching a lot of Dirty Dancing for an assignment that I'm working on. So I haven't had a chance to watch anything new. And I mean, I suppose I should say if you haven't seen Dirty Dancing, please watch Dirty Dancing. It's a feminist masterpiece. But I've been reading this book, but I'm only about halfway, so I'm just gonna promote it anyway because it's really fucking good. Oh, sorry for my language. Really, really good. And it's very, very popular also. So once I say the title, you're gonna be like, Karen, everybody talks about this book. So it's my first time reading it, so don't judge me. But The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by
Okay.
Taylor Jenkins Reid. Um, so it's basically about this woman. Her name is Evelyn Hugo, and she is a like an aging and reclusive actress from like the golden age of Hollywood, the studio system, and she offers to give this reporter like a exclusive interview, and the author author the journalist goes there and then they just like talk about her life, and she's had seven husbands and like her whole journey, and it's just there's not more I can say because it's just so compelling. You have to read it yourself. And I'd seen it on TikTok a lot, but I was like, ugh, there was the cover looked nice, but it needs a like I have such a lot of books at home that I need to read that I just need to like I need
Hmm.
to get around to it. But then after the Oscars, when Jessica Chastain won an Oscar, I just saw all these like tweets saying like, in a Celia St. James era, she's never gonna beat the Celia St. James allegation. I'm like, who the F is a Celia St. James? So I Googled it.
Hmm.
And then I saw it was from this book. And then I read more and I saw it was about old Hollywood. And if y'all know me, you know I'm obsessed with old Hollywood. So I'm like, oh, this book is so good. Apparently so good. And it's about old Hollywood and it's about a mixed race journalist. I'm in. And I've been like, any free time that I'm not busy writing about dirty dancing, I am reading this book. Like I went to for a pedicure yesterday, no, Saturday, and I was like enthralled. Like the lady's asking me questions, and I'm just reading the book. I'm like, I don't know. She could have like done weird things like to my toes, and I wouldn't have known. But if you're looking for a great book to read and like a book that almost like how do I say, like encompass you, like like
Mm,
that's how
absorb
thrilling,
you.
yeah, interesting this book is. Like, I mean, it's not like an action novel, but it's like it's so compelling. I was like so drawn into it. Then yeah, it's called The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor
Can I
Jenkins
ask
Reid?
one
Taylor Jenkins.
question?
Yeah.
So you said you've been watching, all you've been doing is watching Dirty Dancing. How many times have you watched it in like what sort of time frame?
I don't know. I haven't watched the whole movie a lot. So I've watched. I've obviously seen the movie many times. I know the movie like very well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I only watch it like once or twice, like once I think all the way through, and then I've just been skipping through specific
For the
scenes.
scenes that you, okay.
Yeah, that I'm
So it
working with.
wasn't like, because in my head when you said that, I pictured that scene from like New Girl where Jace first like goes through the breakup and all she does is lie on the couch and watch Dirty Dancing on repeat.
No, it's not like that. I wish I wouldn't be opposed to that, but because it's like I'm working with specific scenes, I need to watch that specific scenes over and over again. So I no, yeah. Not that I haven't not done something like that before. I have, but but it's not like that. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another great episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Syntec. Syntec is a technology company that sources and distributes industry-leading products and brands from around the world. Me, you can find at Karen Welby on Instagram, at Karen Welby's with an S on Twitter, and sign up for my newsletter, Wildest Dreams, at wildestdreams.substack.com. The podcast can be found at Crushing on Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find us at What's IGN Crushing On YouTube, and you can find more information about this and all our other episodes on our website, crushingonpodcast.com. Send any feedback to mail@crushingonpodcast.com, and you can send us voice notes at +27 78 362 2566. Join our Facebook group, Crushing on Club, where we chat about the show, celebrity news, recommendations, the whole shebang. The show is produced by me, Karen, as well as Rebecca Barches and Leanne Phillipson. The show is edited by Rebecca Barches. Our logo was designed by Nathifa Maroof, and the show was created in partnership with IGN Africa. If you like the show, tell everyone that you can, any way that you can. Keep up to date with episodes by subscribing to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate and review the episodes on Apple Podcasts, as it helps others to find the show. We'll be back next week with another in-depth conversation with a pop culture lover. See you then.